All right, let's get this started. All right, guys, I'm excited to do another one of these with you guys. Like I said, this is the third video of today. I'm gonna be catching up. This last week has been a little crazy for me, but I'm really gonna be picking up the slack here. So I'm gonna go along with support and resistances as well today. I really feel like this is an important subject. So I want to really nail this home. So let's start with cake. Let's start with cake. As you guys can see, I already have some lines. You guys can probably assume that is support and resistance that I found, right? So I drew these lines after it hit its peak here, and I was trying to figure out where it might go because I had sold down here, and obviously it went up here. I did not expect that. The chart was overheated, but it kept going. So, you know, with these hyped projects, a lot of times these indicators or other indicators, you can't really trust them because hype is pretty hard to measure. It can really push odds to the very limit. So what I'm seeing here, guys, is a inverse head and shoulders. It's not the prettiest, but it does look like some reversal pattern looks to be put in. Again, like I said, it's not the prettiest because usually you want both of these shoulders, right? To be within, it's usually like 5 to 10%. I don't even like to go up as high as 10% because then it's pretty lopsided. But this is 6%. So let's just for the sake of this, it's let's use this. And then even from the bottom down to here. So yeah, guys, it's tough, but we'll use this. So as you guys can see, price action's coming up. Found its top. And again, I drew this like down here when it was down here. So it's kind of cool that zero, I drew from here to, where was my original? Oh, here it is. So the original, I drew it from here up to here, right? And look where price went. Literally the 618, exactly. You could not ask for a better better move. I mean, I wish I wasn't so quick to pull the trigger. I would have done a 3x, maybe over a little bit over a 3x instead of just a double. But hey, I'm not gonna complain. So as you guys can see, price action comes up here, blow off top, right? This right here, usually called blow off top. Blow off top is usually signified by a wick that's much larger than the candle body. Significant volume, as you guys can see here, pretty significant on this one right here, higher than average. And as you guys can see, it reversed the trend. So it shot back down, hit the support right here, came back up for a bearish retest, right? So every time you get a rejection, it comes back down, comes up to try to test again. As you can see, it only really got there with wicks. So it didn't spend much time close to here. And as you guys can see, it reversed, right? So what the bulls would be looking to do is to print a reversal pattern. This is not the prettiest looking reversal pattern, but I still feel like it will. And maybe I'm a little biased because I bought into it. But this is what I'm looking at. So there's a couple ways you can determine the support and resistance levels. First, you can kind of just see where the wicks will tell you, you know, for the most part, where the support and resistance levels will be. And you guys can see, I put this one here. It respects it. Yeah, but candles can go through it. but nonetheless, it got rejected, right? And then you see this one, if you see the volume at the bottom, it was below average. So a lot of times with these smaller coins, or altcoins in general, you'll see these moves and it looks bullish, right? If you just look at the candles, these look great. But look at the volume, and you're not getting much, you know. So it came back down. Right now, it's looking for it's kind of in the middle. Price action right now is in the middle of two lines of support. So the other one is right here, right? Right where this box is. So let me delete that so you can't see it anyways. This box right here, that's demand zone, right? So I don't know if you guys remember the dump the other day. I think that was yesterday, not the dump, correction rather, right? Price went all the way down to $12. Man, I wish I would have bought in there, but I put my order somewhere around here. It was like $14. So yeah, I got my order filled, but I missed out on several percent. But nonetheless, I put it here because I determined this was a demand zone, and you can see these demand zones also work as like supply zones. So when price action is coming up, you guys can see it kind of struggled here a little bit. Then it broke through, and then once it broke down here, got absorbed. Right, volume is a little bit higher than usual, and then same thing right here. This supply got absorbed pretty quickly. Yeah, it broke through, but it didn't spend much time before it shot right back up, and we haven't been here yet. Right, so usually how you can determine these is by finding gaps as well. So these gaps will help you determine where your support and resistance are, and where to put in a buy. So how did I know to put a buy here? Let's just imagine all of this isn't here. All this price action right here is not existed yet. So if I was looking at this, basically what I do is look down. Now we have something here that's basically it formed a gap right here before. And remember, all of this hasn't happened yet, right? So we saw this dump down. And what's funny, you see that wick literally touch right on top of the demand zone and bounce right back up, right? So you have multiple confirmations of this being a demand zone, a liquidity pool, if you want to call it. Should make this blue. But there's multiple instances of showing that this is a supply zone, right? So it's acting as support. Now, like I said, you would see right here that it just kind of goes straight up, right? So even if, like, say we didn't see all of this, so from this big red candle over, and all you saw was this right here, I'll draw a line. So don't mind this, all this stuff, just forget it's even here, right? So if you just saw this right here, I would be like, wow, this is a pretty significant move up. If we do break down out of this bullish pattern, right, which we did, because this was shaping out to be, from what it seemed like, an ascending triangle, right? Yeah, we could draw it right there, right? It was respecting a trend. It was respecting the trend, and then it broke through, right? And it wasn't even crazy volume either. You guys see, I mean, it's not insane volume. I mean, it was much more volume than in comparison to the previous kind of candles, but it wasn't crazy volume. And you got this long red candle. So, but obviously that's a break, right? I mean, it came up, price action kind of tried to come up here, got rejected by this resistance, which was once support. So it's funny how, support turns on you. Once you get below it, it acts as resistance, right? Like a magnet. So that's another way to confirm. That's the easier way. Now, I think the most effective way and probably the quickest way, but it might take a little bit of time to learn, is using the VPVR. Or yeah, it shows up as visible range on the indicators. So you're going to type in visible range, right? So that's the visible range. This is the visible range. What I like to do, usually I don't like to do anything lower than the hour, but let's do the 4 hour, right? And then actually I'll draw a pattern here in a second, and we'll be able to this. I'll show you guys what I'm seeing as well on top of just finding the support and resistance. So let's hide all of this. Let's start from scratch. So usually what I like to do, if you have it scrunched up, you guys notice that these blocks get a little bit thicker. So I would extend out these candles as much as you can, so you're still able to see, right? You might even want to try to get as much of the move as possible. Okay, we'll go down there. As you guys can see, this is from this right here, you're seeing this large candle, right? So that's the volume, the transactional volume that happened. And most of it on this graph, it's not even close, is around the 680 level. So what I like to do, this is long term. Eventually, I would assume that price is going to come down and touch this level at some point. Hopefully not soon, but I would just assume that it would. And obviously, it probably would take a pretty big dip from Bitcoin from this. Wow, I just got some great news from CRO token. 70 billion CRO will be burned starting today, paving the way to fully decentralize the crypto.org chain network. Mainnet launch set for March 25th. Wow, crazy. This is going pretty wild right now. All right, anyways, sorry y'all. So some news. So you see here, now you see all these other volume candles, right? You might, some of them are larger than others, some of them are less. Obviously, less volume, more volume. The volume isn't buying or selling, it's buying and selling. So we got this main area right here, the 680 level, right? And we zoomed out, and you guys can see it changes. So as the scope changes, it's taken into its account a different data set. So obviously, this red line is basically showing you the point of highest concentration. It'll change. So we'll zoom back in. It was February 16th. So the last week. This would be about the last week or so. So I'm gonna start drawing some lines, and I'll explain afterwards. Let's do one right there. You got one right there. Let's put one right here. Right here. One right there. That one actually goes right there. And actually right here. It's actually running right into resistance support as we speak. So let's see where this one should go. Yeah, that should be perfect. Okay. So as you guys can see, I drew quite a bit of lines. Now, this is how I use the VPVR, and it works out pretty well for me. So you're looking for these high candles, right? The chances of the support and resistance being along, below, or within these VPVR candles is pretty high. So the reason why I chose this one right here, so you guys can see there's there's a good amount of volume up here, right? Pretty good. Not the highest, but out of all this price move right here, on average, it seems to be the largest chunk of the price action when it comes to volume. So reason I put it here is you see these two candles, right? These are the second longest candles out of this whole move. So I was looking over. I'm like, okay, should I put it on top here? Should I put it on bottom or in the middle? Now, reason why you see I put it on top here, put it on bottom here, top, top. Basically, what you're doing, support and resistance usually lies right after um, like a large candle, and then after this large candle, it doesn't have to be a small candle, but it's significantly less. And if you guys can see, like this one right here, and this candle right here, uh, so this one and um, this one's significantly bigger, right? So I like to put the lines right in between the two candles I'm comparing, and I'll put it right here in between. So if I were not to look at the price action at all, and then when I was doing this and just following the strategy I'm kind of giving you guys, as you guys can see, it's working out pretty well. Price is literally, look at that. Price is literally fighting on this line right here. Yeah, so price is fighting on this line right here. So that's another indication. You go over, touch, 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 break down, break through, right? Came back down, broke through this. And again, this is all low volume, so it's take it with a grain of salt, right? But it's starting to look like it's fighting its way back up. So that line right there, as you guys can see, multiple touches, it broke through, broke back down, right? So we're still respecting it as resistance, even though the candle went above it. And you can see on top here as well, all these wicks that are touching this to confirm that's a point of interest, right? It's a magnetizing, it's a polarizing line on this chart. So with these other ones, you guys see this one that I put right here, obviously pretty big candle compared to this as at least double, maybe almost 2.5 times the size of these. I'd say double, right? So for this one, you can actually put a box, and I like putting boxes on the candles of the VPVR that are kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? So it's like a mountain in the middle of like a flat land, all grass, boom, big mountain out of nowhere. So usually that helps me identify supply, no, demand zones, demand to the supply. So you guys can see price came down, touched, came right back up, came back down, rolled back right through. As you guys can see, this box is acting as support and resistance. So on the way up, it stopped almost right there, went a little bit above, came back down, stayed in, right? Multiple touches, then boom, broke up. And if you left this box here, which I would advise doing, I mean, you leave this box right here, it comes back down, right? and you could have not bought here, or say you bought some, came up, you sold, maybe you sold a little bit, or you didn't sell. Instead of selling at the bottom like they want you to, you know where price is most likely going to come back and visit, right? So you might as well place your orders there. Sorry, this graph moved a little bit. All right, so we'll just leave it right there, right? And this didn't touch it technically. It got close, but usually, you know, you could be safe and put it a little bit above this box, not too much. But you definitely got filled on this one if you put anywhere in this box. So that's another little demand zone, right? You can see the price actions respecting it. The reason why I put this one right here, yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah, that looks a little bit cleaner. So reason I put this here, again, large candle, and this is still a pretty good sized candle, but you know, you see it inching slowly, you know, as each level comes, volume is rising, and then boom, you have a pretty significant one. It's the second largest one from this view I'm showing you guys. So you look across, boom, touch, break down, possibly a bearish retest, and maybe continue back down to this demand and supply zone. Demand zone, sorry, not supply, right? A supply zone would be like up here, right? This would be a supply zone because price hasn't really gone up. It's gone up a little bit, but it came right back down, right? So this demand zone is kind of keeping things up, almost like a cloud of some sort. Perfect. Okay, so you go down here. Again, you could draw a box here if you wanted to, but it was a little bit too big and the lines looked a little cleaner. So again, two large candles, right? Almost identical. And then boom, candles half the size. So right on top of these candles and well, in between these two candles, right? There's a divergence in the amount of volume. I put my line right here. And as you guys can see, price touched, came back down, touched down here, confirm this support, confirm this resistance one more time, then finally broke through, right? And we haven't seen it since. And again, this VPVR is showing you how to do it. And you go down pretty low, getting a little bit larger, boom. This is the Mac Daddy. Remember, this is the 680. This was the highest point. As you guys can see, I zoom out a little bit more. It's showing you this pretty pretty magnetizing, polarizing, whatever you want to call it, spot on the map, on the graph, the map, the graph, same thing. Okay, so that's a little bit of VPVR. I'm going to turn this off real quick. I'm going to keep this class pretty short, guys. I want to keep it concise. I'm going to do some more tomorrow, but just want to give you guys a little bit of example of how to find support and resistance. And I'm going to show you guys my Bitcoin chart before we go and just show you the benefit of finding the support and resistance ahead of time and saving it and making sure you have it on the go. So when Bitcoin is dumping, correcting, retracing, you should have an idea of where it's going to go. So all these lines I drew, I may have drawn before this. I think I drew them a couple days ago, February 20th. I think it was, yeah. So I think I drew it somewhere in this area because you can see price got rejected, came back down. But let me go to 1 hour so it's a little bit cleaner. So you see this correction, right? Large candle, large wick. It went all the way down to this level, this level, and this level. That's not like an everyday thing that you see it blast through a couple different levels of support. But as you can see too, this was a lot of sell volume, but the wick was pretty large. So it reversed price change for a little bit, right? But it came back down and it touched these lines again. So if we didn't have these, a lot of you would have gotten scared and sold, or would have waited all the way up here to buy when you could imagine this on an altcoin. You know, this would be like a 10-15% jump. So it's not so much support and resistance to clutter your chart, or it's not going to tell you the future, but what it does is help you understand the past and what the past is possibly trying to show you in terms of where it wants to go, and things of that sort. Um, let me unhide this again. You guys can see these lines I drew about a day or two ago, right? And you can see price in the future is respecting these lines. What a crazy looking candle right here. Definitely a weekend candle. You don't see that on the weekdays too often. But nonetheless, boom, 3 touches. Fourth touch, let's see if it has enough to break through. Volume is decent. So I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. But yeah, guys, look at that. Almost to a point. Almost to the point. The support and resistance determined where the price was going to go. Even if you put your price here and it went down and you were negative for a little bit, I mean, you're positive now. So even if you bought here too, you're positive as well. Again, you're buying on support. You have stop losses. So if you are buying on support, like say price went down here and you bought somewhere right here, stop loss should be below this line, right? Because if it continues to go down, you would just assume it's going to go down this next level. So I would put stop loss right there. I make it red, right? Because if it continues to go down, you just sell, you take a little bit of losses, and you rebuy. You rebuy here, or you rebuy right here. Um, so as you guys can see, these lines are just amazing. They blow my mind. I saw this today, and I was like, man, that's insane. Even I saw this one today too. No, this one was yesterday. So I saw this one today, and I was like, man, that's insane. Literally to the point, to the T. And again, guys, going back to this one, we determined this using VPVR. I'll show you what it looks like on the Bitcoin chart. As you guys can see, I put my lines here, right? I had a little bit of a different setup. So the lines might not be, yeah, I know, CRO is crazy. I actually bought my mom a bunch of CRO tokens, so she's probably happy right now. Let's see. So you see these lines are a little bit off because I was on a different time frame, but nonetheless, they're still pretty much the same, pretty similar. You can move this up a little bit, all right? Boom. Adjust this, right? Again, putting your support and resistance along these large spikes of volume. And if you do that, I mean, you're really just, it's not gonna always be 100%, right? Um, you might have to adjust it a little bit, right? Because I could take, I could. I don't like to have so many lines because it's really difficult to see, especially when you're on the mobile app. But as you guys can see, all these lines are pretty much legitimate, you know. And you could even put, I would even probably put that down here. I mean, you could put one right here and it would still work, but I'd even put it down here just because it's such a much more significant drop from here to here than here to here. At least, actually, it's pretty similar. So you might want to put two lines right here, and even right here. What I like to do is avoid the lines, and if there's two lines that are really close to each other, then I will just put that box, and you guys can see that this is a demand zone. Touched, bounce, touched, bounce, touched, bounce, right? And every time it comes down in the supply zone or the demand zone, volume is increased. Volume is increased right here. And volume is But for the most part, increase volume, increase volume. So it's showing you there's demand there. It'll bounce. Okay. So again, guys, I'm gonna keep this one short. I'm gonna end that here. I will do some follow-ups on this one on the VPVR. Tomorrow I'll be doing at least another video on it. And yeah, let me stop the recording. If there's any questions, let me know.